MiSide is a game that came out in 2024 and it's pretty popular amongst the internet, for good or for worse. A game I don't want to spoil for people who haven't played the game at all, so I will beg you to go play it for yourself. This is a game worth playing the more blind you are. I truly mean it, so play it. This is my only spoiler warning. But if you're still interested within the game, well alrighty then, grab your classic horror movie flashlight and buckle down. MiSide has 26 achievements and a lot of unsettling events. We start the game on day 1, in a room that's more organized than mine will ever be. We get offered the tutorial, and just to make sure, I take it with ease and so I don't get snuck up on by random buttons that I just don't know. After that, I investigate everything possible in the room, even the endless void of white. We then finally pick up our sillier device, while also receiving a message from my friend messaging us about an app to try, and since we are not self-aware scammers, we instantly download the app, alongside instantly opening it as well. We are immediately introduced to a new girl named Mita. We are also instantly asked for our name. I put in Woolish as my name. We are then asked to help clean a room, and since I've got nothing better to do, I help her out. We then cut to day 2. Today we're tasked with making food, so after purchasing what we need, I start cooking, and look at these skills. Gordon Ramsay would be jealous. You fucking donkey! Day 5. Today we're asked with. Day 10. Today we're looking for her hairbrush, yet she tells us to not search the oven. I mean, what could possibly be so bad? Is that a chainsaw? Day 20. Today we're Day 33. Today. Day 37. Today Mita mentions how it's frustrating that we can't meet in person for all the help that we've been doing. She suddenly has an idea, which makes me slightly more concerned than anything. We then just start staring into the phone more intensely than ever, and suddenly she states that we somehow got together. Which, Mita, I'm not sure if you know or not, but you can't just put a person through a phone and expect them to be there. Oh, you motherfucker. But Mita herself doesn't seem to be home right now at this moment, so we start looking around. The front door is locked and the kitchen is empty as well. We walk into her bedroom and instantly see a machine of some sort, with a whiteboard telling us to do some stuff. Well, alrighty then, Captain, I'll get on to it. We first turn on the machine. Next we're demanded to find 3 items, a spoon, a pencil, and a bow knot. I retrieve all 3 of the most random items with relative ease. We then click the button to run and it seems the machine is back up and running. But should we really be standing in teleporters? I've forgiven everything, but this seems too much, no? We step on it anyway, being teleported to the same room with no light at all. However, this game breaks that classic horror game trope, and I'm allowed to turn the power back on from the fuse box, so thank you for that. However, even with the power back on, we're not done yet. We have to find 4 battery-like objects needed for the machine to be back up and running again. First, we check the bathroom, see a creepy message, find the first battery, walk through a totally normal hallway.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
Wound up in the kitchen, obtain the second battery, find the 3rd one in the living room, and the 4th and final one being back in the kitchen within the fridge. We fix the machine, jump through the portal one more time. This time around, we're in a more comfortable setting. Even then, I get jump scared by Mita for the first time encountering in person. But even with the jump scare, we start investigating, asking questions, messing around with glasses, and taking a selfie. We then mess with the TV, and with the power of the digital world, Mita is able to grab a full glass of orange juice from within the TV. We accept the drink she hands out of courtesy, which gives us the first achievement, dead juice. After the funky tasting juice, we find ourselves Lenter's ring, and it disappears right after. We then start helping Mita with making dinner. Mita then asks if we can retrieve the scissors from the bathroom, so we start searching and hear the opening of a vent. But out of curiosity, we check in and find ourselves a cartridge of some kind with a name on it. Weird. We put it back, retrieve the scissors, and make it back to Mita. We then sit down, ready to eat, and immediately get offered a sauce for the food. And out of courtesy again, I accept it and put it on the food. We ask Mita what kind of sauce it is. She states that it's love sauce. And that sounds nice, but also very concerning and dangerous, and I was correct on that idea. For as soon as I ate the food, we immediately start tripping with love hearts everywhere, and maybe a few health problems as well, since our vision gets wrecked in the process. But for our trippy efforts, we receive delicious love. With the help of Mita, we reach the bathroom and are told to take the pills to stop the eyes from crashing out. After living in the void for about a minute, our vision is back to normal and Mita vanishes away. We start another search, find the layout is completely different from last time, and we find Mita in the kitchen. We attempt to leave the kitchen, except for this time we run into the pure black void of loading, because of course, running into the void is such an inconvenience. After that, Mita suggests that we relax and play some games. With that, I instantly hop onto the video game console and instantly regret my choices right after. We first start with a fighting game and I lose hard. We next play a penguin game, which I don't suffer too much on, mostly because it results in a tie this time around. After that, we next play a card game in Mita's room, which is total bullcrap since we lose no matter what we do. But while we play, we can hear noises coming from the closet. We try to ignore it, but the noise persists. So we begin to investigate to figure out what the noise is. But before we can, Mita gets in our way and stops us, telling us to stop the investigation and just stay and live with her forever. Yet when I start the search does not end until I have the answer needed, which I know I'm going to regret like most life choices I've made so far. Mita gives us one last chance to stop. We ignore her and she's had enough of us and snaps her fingers, turning the home back into the dark, eerie place it once was earlier. With my nerves on high alert now, we try to enter the closet right away, and yet the door is locked. So with nothing to do but look in the dark, we go to the kitchen and find our standard holy sword against the dark horrors, a flashlight. I next try the bathroom, which turns into a nightmare experience, with someone crushing their fingers in the door. Yikes. We then leave, find Mita with a knife, and yet we're tasked to find her. Thanks game. I go back to the kitchen and find Mita on the ground, and yet I nearly get murdered when I turn around, but by some miracle, I'm still alive in the game and real life. After I mentally recover from the event, we then try to find our way out again, and we just find half of Mita just walking against the wall, which to be honest is the only comfort I've gotten through this entire experience. So we follow her back into Mita's room and find ourselves a key that we've probably passed 5 times. But with that, we enter the basement and find ourselves some standard items. Boxes, generators, a chainsaw, a simulation of the game, and a prisoner. You know, standard stuff. Wait, people don't have prisoners in their basement? Ah, well, that explains why I see the FBI following me every few days. We find ourselves Mita, or a different Mita, and we're correct with that idea, since this Mita states she's different from the previous Mita named Kind Mita. So with the other Mita probably on the hunt for us soon, we immediately begin breaking her out. We hand her the key, and she hands us the ring we saw earlier at the start of the game. But before we can ask many questions, Murderous Mita comes downstairs, and we have to hide. So with the power of the ring, we hide. Yet, I die, several times. But during my 3rd attempt, I finally escape death, and we find ourselves in some kind of untextured world, with many halls, loops, and just abnormalities within it. Yet we do find ourselves another human being, different from the Mitas. Yet he seems to be injured. He also seems like he doesn't want to leave this area. So we just leave him behind. After that encounter, we do find Kind Mita again. I also missed out on 2 achievements from this arcade machine, so we'll come back to this in the future. We then talk to Kind Mita, and we learn that the first Mita we talked to earlier, aka Crazy Mita, has a plan to reach the core. So our goal is to reach the core before her with the assistance of the ring. It can guide us from version to version, descending from the newer versions to the older ones. With the help of Kind Mita, she has a plan to stop Crazy Mita. First talking about a new Mita who has some kind of idea. With that, we get introduced to the fan favorite character of the entire game. Cool Mita. Or Cappy. Yet Kind Mita seems to panic. From her panic state, we learn that Crazy Mita might have beaten us here, and learn that if a Mita is murdered, they reset, losing all memories they once had, explaining why Cappy has no clue what we were talking about. With this massive setback, we can't use the teleport to reach the core as fast as possible. But Kind Mita has a backup plan which requires us to hand over the ring, so we do. While she modifies the ring, we start to play around with Cappy, first starting with some DDR, which I suck at and mess up on all 3, while Cappy's just a natural god at it. The next game is a version of Whack-A-Mole, where we have to click the red button as soon as it goes off. Failing to do that results in being bonked in the head.
Hey, you're finally awake.
Which turns into the most epic close battle ever. But after one glorious victory, we obtain pat on the head. After that, we reunite with Kind Mita, and she's done with modifying the ring. Sadly, from here on out, we'll be on our own, hopping from version to version. So with that, the journey begins. We first jump from version 1.75 to 1.3b, with the level named The Loop, and it's exactly how it sounds. We repeat this hall many times. Nothing really interesting happens until the 4th loop, when the mini-TV begins to glitch. On the 7th loop, the hallway turns completely dark and cold, with the only light being from the lanterns and the red glow. On the 9th loop, the power completely cuts out, and we rely back on the flashlight. On the 11th loop, we get ourselves a weapon to defend ourselves, which just makes me more nervous than comforted. On the 12th loop, we have to kill these glitch-like creatures, which brings me great joy until my bat breaks, which is the saddest moment in the entire game. On the 14th loop, we find our first player cartridge, which is needed for an achievement down the line. We're also tasked with setting the time right, which after a bit of time, I get it set correctly, and the message "released" pops up, which makes me hella concerned, but nonetheless, we continue onward. On the 15th loop, we find ourselves the little Mita, and immediately I start feeling really bad for her. We then enter a trippy hallway and find the tiny Mita again. On the 16th loop, we learn that the tiny Mita can speak, and she starts questioning us about wanting to leave. Right after, she pulls out the friendship card, and that makes me feel more guilty. But despite the godly amount of guilt I have for this Mita, I have to continue onward. Yet, despite my attempt to leave black spots, begin to emerge from the wall with arms reaching out. We're then chased by a monstrous glitch, and I get killed. This time, we run more efficiently, and eventually, trapped within the loop, we take the risk to jump out the window, which seems successful and gets me out of there. After the fall, we wake up in some kind of new room. Hearing her voice, we look around until we find this cute chibi Mita. She asks us to help her find a key, which we find with ease. We then are tasked with making a key of our own, which was quite helpful. We then say goodbye to the chibi Mita and we leave, with the new version jumping from 1.3 to 1.15, while the living room is dimly lit. With more exploration, the next room is nothing but pure black, and yet there are Mitas everywhere, all hiding their faces. Before we get potentially murdered, we get called out by another Mita. So with us being saved, we learn several new things. But first, arcade time! The arcade is something similar to That's Not My Neighbor, which I've never played before, but I get through the minigame and we first learn from it that there are glitch Mitas. These are completely hostile. However, if anyone's watched Doctor Who, they act like weeping angels. With that, I head off putting my fate into the skilled gods, which are myself, which are garbage. I find a lonely weeping Mita, and as soon as I walk by, I get bitten by it. This is where the survival truly begins. With the survival skills I have on hand, I make it through the first 2 areas with relative ease, making it up this ladder and finding ourselves on the outside of some kind of false outside. First starting with walking around, activating some panels, finding a computer with the phrase "praying for you, oh great Mita," stated by many people. I type it myself and we achieve "oh great Mita," while almost getting completely crushed by a fridge. Thanks, Mita. We then leave the moon plains and enter the transit bus. But before we go on the transit bus, we find ourselves a Chibi Mita, and with my monkey brain activated, I just start following her for no reason. I follow her until the Chibi Mita decides to turn to Gandalf and block my path.
You shall not pass!
But we obtain the achievement, "You shall not pass." After that achievement, we get back on the transit, gun down some bugs, make it to the other side, and start gaming. This is the closest game to me actually playing any Doom-related game. After my attempt to become the Doom Guy's apprentice, I get the achievement "Hell of a Win." After that, we turn to a Mario 64 moment and reach the room of a new Mita, in which we can't leave until we're able to construct a photo for her. So with a quick ring around the rosy, we obtain all the photo pieces while also finding our first Mita cartridge, of course needed for another achievement. But we make the photo that the Void Mita asks for. With most of the character being restored, she allows us to leave, which is more of the idea of jumping out of the crockpot and into the fire, since we're now up against the Weeping Angels, which causes several stressful moments and several deaths along the way. Maybe I should watch Doctor Who and actually learn how to fight against them. With enough deaths under my belt, I make it through by the skin of my teeth, and we now reach a quiet and tranquil place. With a quick glance around, we put the pieces together. This is Sleepy Mita's quarters, while our ring switches from 1.15 to 1.1. Right off the bat, I try to find my way out, but there's just a big ass garage door in the way, needing 2 people to open, and last I checked, it was just me. Ah right, Sleepy Mita. I try to wake her up, but it just results in nothing until she commands me to make coffee, so we quickly do that, hand her the drink, and this time around she's actually responsive. She starts to help us until we get her back up and leave her realm, or rather get smushed into the next realm. Which besides the tsundere version of Mita, nothing of much interest happens besides just a conversation, but that piece gets interrupted quite violently with Crazy Mita catching up to us. But with the help of the tsundere Mita, I'm able to leave from the 2D realm back into the 3D realm, scaring a new Mita right off the bat. Yet Mita isn't her actual name, it's actually Mila. Creative indeed. As we try to leave, we run into some massive glitch, so we're bound here until something happens. So as we walk around the house, we soon find these blobs of chaos. The ring also seems to go off, so as a natural instinct, I mess with the blob. Or that's what I would have done if I hadn't encountered the carrot. The first time I spot it, it disappears, and after enough games of hide and seek and the discouragement of Mila, it grows large enough and we obtain carrot. This time I do actually focus on the glitches, 4 separate times with 4 separate minigames, while also finding an out of place Mita, and with a stare off, we obtain Found You. With all the glitches done and fixed, we tend to leave again, parting ways with Mila and trying to walk through the hallway. We run as fast as we can, leaping over things, dodging wardrobes until we eventually are able to make a leap of faith, with the help of some Mita god out there. I also rack up with a death count of 3 on this escape, so that's awesome. The next room we enter is an even more glitched and broken world, different from the first one we started with, getting us to version 0.5. Upon exploration, we find ourselves a new Mita, and yet my "I'm going to get absolutely murdered" patent pending radar was going off the charts, and rightfully so, since Crazy Mita is also here as well, while also seeming to team up with early version Mita as well. But after Crazy Mita leaves, we get up and we gotta hurry and find this exit. We try the front door, and that turns into another glitched mess, but we get some achievement. I next check Mita's room with also no luck but glitched creatures blocking the way. We get jump scared and the broken Mita starts communicating to us in a broken language, demanding for her teddy bear. We comply, wanting to avoid death, which takes a bit of time, but we do find it and hand it to her. We then start asking questions, yet that might have been the biggest mistake in my entire life, since after a while she pulls out a freaking knife from her flipping teddy bear and begins chasing us as well. But with some basketball-like juice, we're able to escape from her after getting stabbed once. We then reunite with Kind Mita again, while also reaching the core. Kind Mita gives us instructions to reset Crazy Mita to bring the charade to an end, while I'm also being watched, but what I can only assume is the admin Mita. However, with my computer skills, we're able to access the computer and attempt to reset the Mita. But if you have sharp ears, you would have realized I said attempt, since we require some ID character version code, which works. However, we need a character index, and we don't have that. I then regroup with Kind Mita, and after a quick chibi incident, Kind Mita might have the answer we need, so she just leaves and we are told to wait. Much time passes and I don't have patience to keep waiting, so we go searching for her. And immediately we encounter a natural creaked open door, and again, I'm going to get absolutely murdered. Patent pending radar was going off again. As soon as we walk through, a ring tells us that we're back into the 1.9 version, the newest version. Upon looking around, we find our phone on the kitchen table, and upon picking it up, we're tasked to move us, another player. We find ourselves again and get ourselves caught. We then go through a bunch of dialogue and get knocked out like a Looney Tunes character. Yet we wake up back to our old world, back onto day 1, doing what we would do every day, getting up, brushing our teeth, eating, working, and sleeping. Day 2 repeat, day 3 repeat, day 4 repeat, And for 999 days. Until. After that, I play some Snake because I can do the main story later. And with my Snake skills being top notch, we get a long tail. After that, however, we then run the unknown app and get set into some kind of infinite inception, till we find Mita again far within the inception, who starts asking questions about the confines of our real-life prison. We then escape our inception and get a creepy stare-off until Mita pulls the ring move, until she throws us to the bed. Mita, what are you doing? I didn't agree to this. Oh, thank God, we're just in prison. We're able to escape the prison with the help of kind Mita this time around. She was also able to find the index needed to end this. But while trying to leave, Crazy Mita has a gift for us. Can I get a refund, please? Thanks, Crazy Mita. With the help of the refunded Mita, we're handed the index needed and head straight back to the core. We start putting in the index, but it doesn't seem like the admin Mita likes that idea. But we're able to pull the lever. We're then yeeted into the next stratosphere, thrown back into the newest version. It also seems that Crazy Mita is restored back into her normal Mita state. She allows us to leave after I collect one more Mita cartridge. We then leave, or so I thought. Mita then talks to us and sends us to the basement. So, we go do that. I find another player cartridge. I then also put our ID into the machine, and this time we're surely allowed to leave this world. We open the door and see the pure white void of hope. But before we leave, we quickly say goodbye to Mita and give her a hug, while she's quite sad for us leaving, stating that she should have killed kind Mita. The reboot did nothing. She calls us a fool. Which, thank you for promoting my channel. But after that, she just goes full yandere psycho on us. And before anything, no, she can't be fixed. I've already tried. But we get sent out from the game and immediately delete the app, while being nothing but a cartridge to Mita, nothing but a tool to her, with no escape in sight. Is this the end? Even with our feeble attempt of an escape, we're not even halfway done with the achievements. So we first start with two other endings, first requiring us to open the save, so with the password from the end cutscene, we quickly load a checkpoint and speedrun down to the safe and pull a quick Sayori, getting us safe of life. The next ending requires a bunch of conditions to be met, with those being completing the main story, playing a console game, giving the sauce a try, avoiding us to look in the van, collecting the refrigerator magnets, and us not looking in the oven. With all the conditions met, we're able to get the happy ending, unlocking conditions met. I think she fixed us instead of us fixing her. After that, the rest are easy miscellaneous achievements requiring us to play more arcades and minigames, while also needing us to find all the player and Mita cartridges. We first start with the Fly's Victory, which after 3 times we're able to accomplish after getting a score of 25, while avoiding the flipping frogs. Next is my rematch with Mita in the fighting and penguin game. With both victories under my belt, I get Clabber and Penguin Conundrum. Next is the arcade machine I missed right before we met with Cappy. So with a quick teleportation to the arcade, we start playing a racing game, which, fun fact, I have a heavy distaste for, mostly for the simple fact that I suck at playing them. But this arcade machine has 2 achievements: Accelerate and Going at Maximum Speed. Accelerate for simply playing the game, and for Going at Maximum Speed, which requires collecting all the coins and winning in first place. I first obtained Accelerate with horrible driving skills in tow, but with enough tries and rage at driving games, I'm finally going at maximum speed. After that racing fiasco, we instantly start on the next achievement, which requires me to be good at DDR, which only takes me 2 attempts, thank God. We also get the Great Dance for my efforts. With the dancing done, I make the decision to go after both of the phase logs, which is another minigame, which is essentially an asteroid game, so with some grinding and enough attempts, which is 4 too many, we complete the first phase log, with the achievement phase 1 logs. For whatever reason, I found the second phase logs to be easier than the first one, even with the inverted controls. It only took me 4 attempts, the same as the first one, nice. But we do get phase 2 logs. The next hour and 20 minutes is just a massive grind session to find the 10 remaining Mita cartridges and the 7 player cartridges, which isn't too much of a problem and just requires some Google searches. And eventually, with enough grinding, I'm able to obtain the last Mita cartridge and receive Hi Mita, and receive the last player cartridge, as well as receiving Caught Them All. The last 2 achievements require me to beat the Hector hitless, while the other requires me to get every other achievement. Beating Hector hitless wasn't too much of a struggle, as long as you stay on the cliff and become the master of headshots, which I'm not. But with enough persistence and spam clicking, I achieve it without taking damage. And finally, the last achievement, Pro Gamer, which I certainly am. And totally have the evidence to back that up. I can also now bring this game to a close. Now that everything's done, we can come to a conclusion. First of all, this is such an amazing game, and I'm glad I went in as blind as I possibly could. This game was just such an experience I loved every second of. And if you know anyone who might be interested in this game and have no clue about it, I would recommend this game 100% guarantee. With my thoughts making this game a 10 out of 10 Amitas in the fun factor, and a 4 out of 10 on I can fix hers in difficulty. Since there's nothing really too difficult about this, and someone with better gamer skills can achieve way faster than me, and with way less blunders than me. I hope you all have an amazing day, and with that, stay chill and watch some anime.